Today's episode of good morning once more, and welcome back to today's episode of front-end development beginner class. Previous classes we've treated HTML, we treat introduction to web development, introduction to front-end, the presets, then we move to HTML to explain to ourselves the tags, elements, syntax used in HTML. So last Tuesday, we talked about introduction to CSS. Why do we need CSS? What is CSS used for, right? And then how can we go about styling our web page, our HTML tags? Okay, I think it's too early to start raising hands, but no problem. Elijah, please kindly unmute yourself and ask a question. Pick one, please. Elijah.
Okay, good morning, sir.
Good morning to you.
All right, please, I want to ask the question pertaining to the LMS and the tax that we are asked to submit. Okay,
Okay.
being that our tax one, we did the tax and then the midweek tax now override the tax one. How are we going to do it on specifying the tax one when we are submitting on the LMS, sir?
Okay. You don't have to worry about that. What you need to do is just copy the same link that you have, the latest link. That's what you're submitting. But I mean, latest link is the one that you did last Tuesday. The task I gave out last Tuesday, the one you actually made adjustment, adding styling to it. So that should be the task, the link you're going to submit on the levels. Is that clear?
Thank you, sir.
All of those tasks, the first one, the second one, and third one are all on that stage 0. And everything is going to be elements. When you open elements, when you register and then you open task, you're going to see stage 0. You see this task for stage 0. So that's where you're going to submit the link that you have from the CodeCamp. That's where you're going to submit. So you're good to go. All right. I hope we learned from that. That should be clear. We don't have to ask that question again. Okay, so I was saying that today we are going to be jumping in to internal and external style sheets. CSS made easy. CSS is very easy. Like, although when you're jumping into it, it's going to look like, oh, what am I doing? What's the meaning of all of this and all of that? But then by the time you start writing the code, right? By the time you see a style, for example, you see a design, maybe a designer just dropped something for you. You see the design. Can you guys hear me? If you can hear me, please raise your hand. Please let me before. Just 1 or 2 persons. You can hear me. All right. Thank you, Samuel Goma. Okay. All right. Thank you. So you see a design and then you want to implement the design. Sometimes writing out the code may be very easy. Writing out the code for your design may seem very easy, like the HTML code. But then when it comes to styling it, that's when you like, oh more. Okay, I think I have this property somewhere. I think I have this property somewhere. Like, okay, I can flex this document. I can flex this thing. I can. That's when you have to like think more, because your styling also, the way the design is and then the way you're going to style it may depend on how you're going to structure your HTML. So both in HTML and CSS work hand in hand, because at some point you need to arrange. You want to have a style, but then because of your arrangement, your HTML arrangement, you can't achieve that design. You can't achieve that styling. So what do you need to do? You have to restructure your HTML, and then restructuring your HTML seems very easy. When we get to that, we are going to explain that to ourselves. We're going to make CSS very, very easy for us. So now, last week we discussed the inline styling, which has to do with styling inside, or say inside the attribute of an element. That's inline styling. You add your style as an attribute inside an element. So, but today, I believe last week was really clear and very easy and straightforward. So we also explained to ourselves how to use padding, how to use the margin, the color, how to change color, the background color, border style, and then border style, and then border radius and all of it. So today we are going to be going straight into the internal and external style sheet. Well, like one of our mentors said last Tuesday, the inline styling is not a best practice for developers. It's not the best practice for styling, okay? Because when having your HTML and then inside it you're having your style, it's going to get really, really messy and confusing. And at some point, I have this particular tag or element, let's say H1 somewhere. I have another H1 close to the bottom of my page, right? Or my HTML page. So, and I want to start the H1 the same way, right? Maybe I have H1 first, the heading. I have another heading somewhere, and I have another heading. That's three heading. And I want to give this three heading the same styling. Okay, I want to give them the same styling. So I will have to style the first one, then come back to the second one and style it, and come back to the third one and style it, which is really, really stressful. All right. But then with the help of internal styling and external styling, we are going to be able to like style these three elements at the same time at once, just with a single call. So we won't we won't be going deep into the internal inline styling because it's not the best practice. Also, the internal, I won't waste much time on the internal styling also because what we are going to be using mostly is the external styling. All right, we're going to be using the external styling mostly. Okay, Nedu Okuro, please unmute yourself. So
Okay,
this is what
thank
we're
you.
going to, all right.
So I wanted to ask if your
Continue.
code, I dropped a message. I don't want to ask if your code editor is open because we are not seeing, I'm not seeing anything as you're explaining. Or I don't know
Okay,
if,
can you see my slide?
yeah, I'm seeing this. I just wanted to know if your code editor, if you're showing us on your code editor, because I'm just seeing only
No,
CSS pages.
no, I'm not. I'm
Okay,
just explaining what we did
okay. Thank you, sir.
last week. I believe some of us have it on our VS Code already. So I'm just explaining a brush back. Okay, so yeah, like I said, we won't be spending much time also on the internal styling because we are going to be using the external styling.
For inline styling, you would never, just in rare occasion, in very slim cases, would you see a developer using inline styling because it's not the best practice at all. Because most times you would want to switch, you want to change so many things on your design. And what if take a look as if you are building a website that has like 6 different pages and you want to begin to do inline styling for every element. It's to get to a point, what if you now deliver the project to the client, and the client is telling you, I want to change this color, I want to change this font somewhere. It's going to be extremely hard. So it is never a good practice, and no one will ever advise you. But in some rare occasions, very, very rare occasions, you just have to use inline style. So I think simple, so yeah, but you can share your screen and take over from there.
But I'm very sorry, guys. That was my network. So, share again. Okay, can we see my screen now? Someone said I was dragging, so I had to just restart my network. And everyone see my screen now.
Yes,
Yes. I can see us.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. So, like I was saying, I was explaining the why we need CSS selector. So I said we have our styling somewhere else. Previously, we used to have our styling inline of an element. So we don't need to like make a selector or call a selector for you to know that okay, this style is for me because already the styling is inside of you. So but now we need to style outside. So how does an element know? How will an element know that, okay, this styling is for me? If you just style up and then you didn't call that, okay, this styling is for you on the element, then there's no way the element will know. So that's when we need to use our selector. Selector are used to find or select the HTML element you want to style. It's as simple as that. So the first one, we have the CSS element selector. So the CSS element selector select HTML elements based on the element name. You guys already know that element name could be P, which is the tag. It could be H1, which is the tag, H1 header. It could be A, which is anchor tag. It could be form, all right? It could be label. So those are the element name. So for example, if you want to style H, let's say you want to style H4, right? So in your CSS, you're going to call H4 and then style it. It's going to look like I'm speaking grammar right now, but then when we get to write our code, we are going to understand better. Okay. So now the second one is the CSS ID selector. ID, for everything, ID is always unique, right? Anything you're doing, an ID is always unique to each other. For example, you have 4 different TV in your house. Each of these TV will have different ID. There is no way that one TV will have the same ID as the other TV. It doesn't work that way, all right? So the fact that ID is always very, very unique, right, within a page, that means that if you call an ID of a particular HTML element in your CSS, in your style, then the HTML element that has the ID is going to know that, okay, the one this person is styling right now. Then it's going to act according to the styling that you get. So that's ID selector. We are going to explain and I will show you guys how this works. The third one we have is the class selector. I've made a mistake there. The class selector also select HTML elements with a specific class attribute. So to select elements with a specific class attribute, write a period dot character followed by the class name. Okay. Where we have ID selector, that okay, your ID has different ID. The same thing as class. When you're having a class, you need to pass different value to the class so that you can use that class to call the HTML element. And then the fourth one is the universal selector, the one that selects everything at once. Everything on that page is selected with a universal selector. And the sign for a universal selector is asterisk, as you can see on my screen. The universal selector asterisk selects all HTML elements of the page. If you call this selector and then you style it, whatever styling you give to it is going to affect everything you have on your page. Everything you have on your page. So that is that about selector. All right, we now get to go to writing our codes. Okay, so last Tuesday, we started our HTML page by adding color to this and adding text alignment. We also add color to the H4 and also text alignments. We also add some styling to the UL, to the OL, to the UL. So today we are going to, all of this styling were done using the inline styling. All right. But today we are going to use an internal styling first. We're going to be talking about internal and external. But for now, we're going to use an internal styling first. And then immediately after the internal styling, we're going to go to external styling. So we have to just verify because today I want us to cover both internal and external. Let's just, if you have any issue or any concern, feel free to drop your message or a concern or whatever problem you face on the chat. And I can bother with them to you.
So does anyone have any question? So you can just quickly fine-tune that if you have any issue with CSS. CSS is, don't worry, don't say CSS is hard actually. CSS is easy. You just need to know how to use your syntax. But as you go higher, you will see some design and you need to rethink that is front end my thing, but don't worry, there's no design that you can't implement with CSS. So far you know the syntax you want to use. you will always have style for it. So, Joy Udoko, please, can you unmute and speak? Oh,
Okay, thank you. Good morning. So I just wanted to ask a
good
question
morning.
from the last class. So
Okay, go ahead.
how do you type in a text? Like, let's say I have an element, for instance, at least he mentioned it in the last class, but I didn't get it well.
Okay,
So
list.
like I want
When
to,
list.
let's say I have one or two, three elements, and I want to type in the same text. Like I want to style it, and I want to type in the same style text into the three of it. So please, how do I select the
Okay,
three time? What keyboard keys
okay,
do I use?
okay. Now, you want to style three elements. You want to give three elements the same style. Is that what you're saying, Joy? Joy, I'm asking you a question. Is that what you're saying? You have three elements. You want to make the three of them the same style.
Yes.
If that's okay, if that's what you want to do, in along the line, you will teach your the tutor will talk about classes, class and ID selectors. The one he did in the last class was using the alt and you click on where you want to write something, so you can just write it at the same time. But normally, you won't go through that process.
Okay.
You won't go through that process
Okay.
when you're actually studying. There's something called class selector and ID selector. So don't let's jump the gun yet and go into class and ID selector. So that
Okay.
is much easier way for you to be able to style one single element using a single style for multiple elements.
Okay.
So yeah, that's it. So just follow the class. You would see. I hope I answered the question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you did. Thank you.
Okay. Praise. Udoko, please can you unmute and speak?
Um, Please, I kind of don't understand the whole padding thing. I don't know. It just didn't enter from last class. It's all looking a bit too much.
Okay. Let me explain it. You have a compound. You have a compound, right, in our house, in your house. There's a compound surrounded by the fence. You know that?
Yeah,
Hello? Okay. The
yeah.
space outside the fence, the space outside the fence is called a margin. But you know, there are houses, there are always walkway that there are always spaces around it that can allow you go around the house. You walk through the backyard, and to the front.
Mm-hmm.
You understand that? The space
Yes, I'm hearing you.
inside before you have a contact with the main building, that is what is called a padding. And the one outside is called a margin. The space inside an element is called a padding. The space outside an element is called a margin. So now
Imagine.
you want to enter a compound. The compound has a fence. The space outside the fence is called a margin. While the space inside the fence, before you have it, before they build the structure, you leave some setback to the right, to the left, to the front, and to the back. That is what is called a padding. So that there will be space inside the compound whereby you can park your car, you can have a little walkway. That is what padding is actually. You understand it like that? So I should use more simpler
I get
explanation.
I get what you're saying. I get what
Yeah,
you're
that
saying.
is the basic concept of margin and padding. Yeah.
All right.
Are you good? Or if you have further questions, you can always
No,
drop it on Slack, on Discord rather, and I'll always be available to respond. Yeah, simple. So please kindly go ahead. Thank you.
I'm not sure it's back yet. Hello, can anyone hear me?
We can hear you.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay, so let me ask a question. So do we all understand the concept of padding and margin? Do we all understand? I want to be sure, right? You know, sometimes when we ask questions, right, and the trainer gives an answer, sometimes we still don't understand, but we don't want to act like it, you know, we want to look all smart, and we don't want them to feel like, no, let them not think like I'm dull or something. Look, that's not KodeCamp, right? We're here to make sure that you understand. So don't be shy to you know, to let people know that you don't understand. You're not learning for anybody here, you're learning for yourself, right? You're learning for yourself. So don't sabotage your learning. I like to always say that. Don't sabotage your learning just because you want to look good. You want people to not know that you're having challenges understanding it. You're doing yourself a disservice, right? You're doing yourself a serious disservice. So if you still do not understand, right, there's no harm in still signifying that, okay, I still don't get it, right? We can decide, okay, fine, we'll go at it again, or probably after the class we'll take a bit of time to go at it again, right? So you being able to ask these questions helps your trainer knows where you're having, you know, concerns, right? So don't sabotage yourself. Okay, that's just me giving you guys a candid advice, right? So last, is there anybody that doesn't understand the concept of pattern and margin right now? Just reply on the chat or raise your hand if you don't understand. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Okay, so that means everybody understands the concept of padding and margin. Okay, so that's fine. So I think we can go ahead. Simple Solar.
Okay, thank you very much, mentor. The network has really been missing, but I think we are back now. Really, so it's okay for now. So thank you again for explaining the pattern and the margin. So let's not get confused. If you need the theory, the theory behind pattern and margin, you can always go online to read more about it. But there's no explanation one can give that is more comprehensive or more understanding than what Akimbola has actually said, and also what Mentor said. So if you need a theory behind it, feel free to go and read more about it. Okay, where were we? Okay, so we want to start, we want to like integrate or say, okay, we want to include internal styling instead of the one we are using currently, which is the inline styling of our HTML element. We want to use the internal styling. Okay, so like we did last week, we were able to like comment out some aspect of our styling. So, but okay, let's do it this way. Instead of that, I wouldn't want us to remove the styling, inline styling, but like I said, we don't need inline styling at all. Like we don't need it at all. You only need to know it. That okay, when you want to explain to someone what is inline styling, then you can explain to them. But we don't need to use it at all. So we are going to be erasing all of the inline styling we have here. Sorry for that, but we are going to remove everything and then replace everything with an internal styling. So how do we even add internal styling to our HTML page? Inside our header, we are to declare a style, just declare style inside your header, the way we declare title, the way we declare head itself on body, just declare style, just like create an element called style. So something like this. Let me just add a space like this and then style. Just like this. It's as simple as that. So just create an element, an HTML element called style. A style has an opening and a closing tag. All right. So after that, everything you are doing, everything that has to be styling, is going to be located between the style. So however you want to arrange it is none of anybody's concern. It's your own concern. But ensure that everything you're styling is in between the style that you declared above. All right. So now let's start with the H1. Let's start with the styling of the H1. We want to use the same the same styling, or let's just so that we see the difference and see if it's working. We're going to change a few things like color and then the font size. All right. So now let's start with the age. So now for now we are going to be using the element selector. We are going to be using the element selector. We are going to be using the element selector, the class, and the ID selector at the same time, because we need to move very fast. We are actually wasting. This is the second week and we are still here, so we need to move very fast. So we are going to be using the ID selector, the element selector, and the class selector. But then we are going to start with the element selector. So which element are we styling? We are styling the H1, okay? And like I said, if you style H1 on inside your styling, the style that you give to H1 is going to affect everything you have. It's going to affect all the H1 you have on your page. It's going to affect all the H1. I'll give you guys an example. But first, let's remove this styling. Okay, let's style it first and then we'll remove the styling. So let's say H1. Now I call H1, right? This is the syntax, H1. This is what I want to start. Then in front of the H1, I'm going to open a curly braces. All right. So inside this H1 now, everything that I'm styling is going to be located inside H1. Like everything. Then in front of it, so last week we used goldenrod. But now let's change it to something different. Let's use dark green. Dark green. So that's number one. So remember I said you need a semicolon to differentiate between the first value, the first property and the value, because this color is a property and this is the value. Okay, so the first property and the value, after you're done with that, you need the semicolon to differentiate between that particular one and the next one you want to do. So now you want to give font size also. Font size, then we can say, okay, we used 54, now let's use 45 pixel here. Okay, so then the next one is the text align. So we say text align. Now, before we use center, I want us to use right. So, but we're going to change it back to center, but let's just use right and see how it is. So here we are going to remove the styling, remove the inline styling here, and then save your work. After saving, now let's see what we have. Okay, so work perfectly. All right, it's worked perfectly. Now we set align, text align of this text to the right. Then the font size 45 pixel, and then we change the color to dark green. So it works perfectly fine. And then the advantage of having the internal or the external styling and not the inline styling is you get to differentiate your styling from your HTML tags and elements. It's going to make your code really fine and beautiful, because okay, my styling, this is my styling. My HTML element and all HTML, this is it. So it's going to make everything very fine. So now after that, now let me give you the instance of having multiple H1, and this particular style is going to affect everything. So let's assume that okay, we have another H1 here. Another H1, and I say testing H1. Then I save it. Remember, let me save it now and see what we have. Testing H1. So this particular H1, the styling that we gave here affects every styling that we have, every H1 that we have on our page, because I called the element itself. Remember, element selector. So I selected the element itself, which is the H1 element. So any element that is H1 that is located on my page is going to have this same styling. Are we clear on that? So it's going to have the same styling. We are going to get to a level where if I want this, only this one to be affected by this styling, then we're going to get to that. But for now, we still focus on the element selector. All right, so now we move to the H4, okay? So let's say I want to call H4 also, I need to style it H4. I don't need the inline styling. So I will just select H4 like this. Then the curly braces in front of it. curly braces. What curly braces is mostly in development is like a block code, a block of code. Everything you have is affected by one thing that you declare. Just everything inside this block of code now is going to work together on a particular element that is selected. That's what we have. That's why we need to open the curly braces and then write everything we have, everything we need to style inside of the curly braces. So that's just, remember, it is not a normal bracket. It's not a normal bracket or an array bracket. You get to know that later. But then it's a curly braces. This is a curly braces bracket, not this, not this. This is a parenthesis, and then not this. So this is a different thing, this is a different thing, and this is a different thing. Everything works differently in development, in front-end development, in development entirely. So now you have to be very careful of the one that you declare so you don't have errors in your code. All right, so make sure you are using a curly braces, Okay, so now let's style our H4 with what we have. So what do we have on our H4? We have the color purple, and then we have the text align center. So let's call color also, color, then purple, then text align center. So now let's see. Oh, sorry, I need to remove this. So now let's save again. Then we should be able to see that we have the same thing. Okay, so well, let me just make a change. So we are going to see the change instead of using the old purple. Let's say maroon, like we were using last week. Maroon. Then we'll say, then let's see. Fine, the color change. So now everything is working very fine with our in-scanner style sheet. All right. So, but then it's really interesting because I'm really enjoying the way those things are changing, right? I really like it. And then I would know that, okay, every of my styling is located inside the style. I don't have to like start looking everywhere inside my HTML before I find my styling. I can just easily come in and then I'll see the styling. All right, now before we move forward, I want to explain the ID selector also together with the H1. Like I explained earlier, this particular H1, this styling is affecting all the H1 we have on our page. But I don't like it. I want to have different style for my chart and different style for my testing H1. How do I do that? Okay, it's very easy. You don't need to like express yourself or something. Just like I said, we have ID selector, which has a unique ID for each of the elements. And then we have the class selector, which also can be specifically made unique among HTML elements, right? So now, how do I pass an ID? I want to start with an ID for now. So how do I pass an ID to my element? Well, ID is just a name, ID. ID is an attribute. We all remember that we talked about attribute and then the attribute value, right? So last week we used styling, we used style attribute, which is this, and then the value is inside. But today, with the use of our ID, because we need to select this particular my cat, so then we can now pass an ID as an attribute to it, and then give the ID a value. That value that I pass inside the ID is what I'm going to call in my style. Okay, now let me explain that again. Okay, we have attribute and then we have value, right? So already I'm selecting H1 based on the element. Like I'm selecting an element H1, and the styling I'm giving to this H1 is affecting all the H1 I have on my page. But then I don't want it. I really don't like that. I want to have different styling on my cart and my testing H1, right? So how do I make that possible? It's very easy. It's just to use the ID selector or the class selector. But for now, we are going to use the ID selector. All right. So now, how do I use the ID selector? Okay. Okay, feel free to please raise your hand if you have any concern or question, or if you're not getting something clear. Okay. So Okay, sorry about that. Someone just informed me that the screen, the text is really small. So I believe you can all see it clearly now. Okay, Praise Edo, please ask your question. Praise Edo, kindly unmute yourself and
All
ask
right.
your question.
Please, I get what you're doing with the styling. It's rather easy. I get that, but I just want to please tell you the question now about this I think inline styling that you're doing is about the padding. Could you like do the padding this thing again for me to see and understand? Like after you're done with this, after you're done with this.
Okay, okay, fine. No, we'll go through that again. Okay, there's no problem. Are we cool? Edo, if we are cool, please signify. Okay, okay, thank you. All right, so now I need to give my card a different styling, and then I need to give my H1 a different styling. So what do I use? I'm using the ID attribute. All right, so now inside the ID attribute, I'm going to pass a value, which this value is what I will select in my style, so that whatever I'm giving, whatever styling I'm applying to this particular value of ID is what that is going to affect my cat. Now let's try it. Okay, now I'm using an ID. Now let me use cat as the ID. This is an ID cat, right? Because okay, from the element, the content I have is in cat, so I just want to make it very easy. And one thing about CSS styling and programming is try as much as possible to use a meaningful value, something you can easily remember. If you see cat in your styling, you could just easily, okay, this, I think this styling is for my cat. All right, so now how do I do that? Yeah, I need to call cat so that styling that I'm giving is going to have effect on my cat. So, but then because I'm using ID, I won't just call cat like this. It's not going to work. Nah, it's not going to work. This card is assuming that, okay, this particular card now is an element because you only call elements like this, right? H1 and H4 is an example. But then cat is not an element. Cat is an ID, okay? Is an ID. So how do I specify that this particular cat is an ID? It's very simple. It's just for you to add an hash before it. Just add hash like this before it. And that's all. Then every styling you're passing now let's do it this way. Every styling you're passing, let's say color. Let me just copy this. I don't like repeating myself. I like to copy and paste. So that's my bad habit. So let's just use now let's go back to our golden rod. Okay, now let's save it and then let's see how it works. Fine, like so sweet and interesting. You can see now we have my card as golden rod, and then we have these two are both H1, and because an ID, okay, let me explain this. An ID attribute or ID styling will always override an element styling. Like if you call if you style a particular text or an element based on the element selector, if you select an element, right? If you now use an ID, the ID will override the element. What I'm trying to explain is you can remember that, okay, this H1 is also this H1. Line 27, if you check line 27, we have H1. And then we have a styling for H1. So why is it that this H1, this styling for H1 is not affecting this line 27?
There are some things that you should know that there are element precedents in CSS. If you do a styling with um, element selector and you have a class, the class is going to override it and the ID is going to override it. And there is also an higher percent of important. There are some styles, if you put important in front of it, they will take no matter how you might want to change that style, it would always take that importance because it's going to take higher precedence above every other styling on your page. So basically their hierarchy to every style, to every element you're going to use in styling your element. Um, Deepel, please unmute and ask the question.
Okay. So please, I'm not getting the concept of the ID, how to use it and everything. I'm not getting it.
Okay, this is it. An ID is used to identify an element. Let's use the word identify as the word implies. Now, when we are in school, they have, it's called a school, but each classes has, you have primary one, you have primary two, you have primary three, you have primary four, you have primary five. That is what is called class. So now, in that your same class, you now have someone that is the class captain, which is his identification. You use is the class captain, that's his ID. Though he's in the same class with you, but he has a different ID. There are some organizations, they have an ID card. It's fine. If you use an ID to identify an element, it's fine. It now depends on the one you want to use. But there are some occasions whereby it's advisable for you to use a class above an ID. Deeper, do you understand the concept of ID and class now?
Yeah, I understand the meaning behind it. What I'm trying to say is all this how to use it, like to differentiate where
Okay.
you're
How to
styling.
okay. Okay. How to use it in
Blank.
your
I
HTML?
can't see anything.
Yeah, there's no screen. There's, I think, simple so is having method. Oh, Ogochukwu, please speak.
Okay. All right. So, can you hear me, Deep Pels?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So, I think Simple So will still share his screen to explain how to use it, but the concept is that when you want to use you use IDs for things that you want to be unique, things that you just want to style only that particular element. You don't want it to share any styling with another class. But things like, let's say you want to style a button, you know that you might have like multiple buttons and you want to keep your buttons the same style. You want to use the same styling for your buttons. You can just give it a class. So a class can be an umbrella for multiple elements. An ID is just for something unique, just a single element. So even twins, they have their unique identity. So IDs are usually they're unique. So um, for you to use the difference between both of them is that when you're using an ID, you have to use you have an hash, and then you have the name of that ID that you give in your HTML. So then if you're using class, you have to use dot, a name, same way that you're using, but instead of the hash, so you can use dot cat. So it's just like that. It's just unique like that. I don't know if you get what I mean, but Simple Soul will still explain that. I don't know if you understood what I said.
Yeah, but the thing is, you said if you're using ID, you use hash, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, and that ID is used to differentiate like where you want a styling effect to be showing,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
So the one of class, what's the difference between the ID and the class?
Okay. So you use ID for only one element. Like as you have ID of cat here, you're not supposed to use that same ID for another element. But if you have class, if you're using a class, you can use it in multiple places. If you're using ID, you just use it for a single element and just that. So that means if you want to create another ID, you have to use a different name.
Okay, I
Yes.
get it.
Right.
Thank
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Algotrix. Thank you very much. Okay, so we are going to, you guys should not just try to, well, it's fine. I like the energy, trying to, I need to understand it as soon as possible, yeah. So then let's take it one step at a time, inside and in class. So where we explain how to use the ID, fine. As it is right now, from what Algotrix explained, I already passed this card as ID for my card. So I don't have any reason. I shouldn't. Understand? I shouldn't pass this same card again in my document. I shouldn't. If you pass it, it's going to work fine, right? But then you shouldn't just try as much as possible to avoid passing that card again somewhere else. Because if you pass that card again, yeah, it's going to work. Say, okay, the styling that you give to this is going to affect that one also, but then it's not the best practice. If you want to have a particular styling to affect or have effect on like three different elements, right? Then you use your class. But then before we get to that, let's just explain how do we use class itself. So now I want to use class on the about my card. I want to style about my card. All right. I already have H4 elements for it. I already select the H4 element. But then, okay, let's do it this way. Let's create another element for that. And let's create something else, just the way we create another element for H1. Let's say testing my card, just like that again. So now, yeah, I need to use class for this particular one. All right, so how do I use class? Just the way I'm using my ID. It's very easy also. I just have to pass class as an attribute to testing my card. All right, so I will just say class is an attribute. Don't ever forget attribute and value. Those two things actually helps a lot moving forward. Like you have to work with attribute and the value a lot moving forward. So make sure as much as possible that you can not to forget that, okay, when I need something to affect this one, I can actually use attribute and the value to do that. So now we have an attribute class and then a value that we are going to call when we are about to style it. All right. So now since we have we already have cards here and we use hash to call it. So now I need to call testing my cards with a class. So what do I pass? Let me look for a name, a very nice name also that will make me understand that or make me know that I'm actually referring to testing my card. So let's just say test card. This is also a very nice name for this test card. So like I said, try as much as possible to use a name that will make you understand. Okay, so I wouldn't want to say this, but last year or something? So I saw someone's someone's code trying to style an HTML like this, and then the person was using, for example, this thing and I use something just use phone. Something so like you're supposed to, yeah, you want to style testing my card, and then the class you're passing a value of phone inside it, or maybe you just call me and then write rice. Just say, okay, because you need something unique and then you don't have a name anymore, then you decide to write rice. Fine, if you call the rice and style it, it's going to definitely work. Like it's going to work on the test my card. But then trust me, it's not good. So try as much as possible to look for a name. Just something you can use T cat, test cat, right? But then yeah, I would rather use test cat. That means testing my card. So now to call it, to style that, we'll do the same thing that we've been doing, but then in a different format, in a different way. When you're using an ID, to call an ID, to identify an ID, we use hash, then ID name, the value. But yeah, we are using a cat. Sorry, we are using a class. So we are going to use dot, the class value, dot test cat. if you call the test card alone, like I explained earlier, it's not going to work. Like it's never going to work because it's going to see this test card as an element, right? And then it's going to look for, okay, everywhere, all the elements I have, is there anything like test cards? No, there's nothing like test card as an element. There's no element test card. All right, so for us to be able to make this work, and then, okay, since we already know that this is a class, then we have to add the dots before it. So if you see color changes, or I don't know, whichever VS Code theme you're using, definitely this color, it may not be green, it may not be lemon, say, yeah, it may not be lemon, and this may not be red, right? It may be some other color from your own, but then the color is still going to like look different because there's always a color difference between an element selector and an ID selector. ID and class selector is the same thing, so they're using the same color, say, with my own theme though, but then element selector has a different color. So that's just for you to differentiate between the element selector and class and ID selector. So now anything I'm styling here is going to have effect on this particular test in my class. So let's say, for example, I'm saying text, text align. Let me use same. And let me say font size. Font size, let's say, well, I don't want to use all of this for now. Let's just focus on our pixel. Let's say 35 pixel. Then let's use font weight. Font weight, let's use 900. You just see how it works. And then let's do something else. Let's change the color. Change the color to azure. No, let's use blue violet. Okay. So now let's see. Fine. Interesting. Testing my card works perfectly. This testing my card and the about, they are both H4, right? They are both H4, H4, H4. But because of the different styling that we give to this one, that's why this testing my card is different from about my card. All right. So that means you can actually override the size of an element. You know, we have H1, H2, H3, H4, and then the sizes are different from H1 to H6. Okay. So then at the same time, you can use your styling to override the size of this H1 to H6. That's what we just did now by overriding the size of the H4, which is supposed to be this by default. And then we made it 35 pixels and then it get bigger. We change the font, the boldness also, and then we change the color. And at the same time, we can also change the font family. Like I want to change the font family. What family should I use? So these are the inbuilt family that you can use. Font family, I mean, if you use Word very well or Excel, you know that, okay, there's a way you change family, font family. How do you want it to look like? You want it to look different from what it used to be. So we can decide which font family we want to use there. We have Korean, we have Franklin, we have Gill Sans, we have Lucida Sans, we have Times New Roman, and all of that. So, but let's say I want to use Sejo UI. Let's save it. See what we have. See, very different. That's because I changed the font family of this testimony card. So that's just the idea of using H1. Sorry, the idea of using element selector, then ID selector, and the last one, the class selector. So now, like Ogochuk said, if you want this H1 to affect everything, like this test card, you need it again. This same styling that you passed the test card, you need it again on another something. So let's say I have another H1. Sorry, and then let's say again and again. Sorry about most of my examples. Let's just use again and again. Now let's see what it's going to look like before we apply our class test card. Let's save. Okay, so we have again and again here, just like this, a normal text by the left. And you already know that text align by default is always left by default. So now it depends on you, however you want your styling to look like. Then it's going to change where you want it or where you are. So by default, again and again, is H4, H2, and then this is the size of H2. The color is black, and then the text align is left. But then, okay, I need the same style. I want it to look like this. So it's simple. Just call the class again, add it as an attribute class, and then test card. Then save it. Class test card, save it. Now let's see what it looks like. See, interesting, like really interesting. How CSS can make you feel like, oh, more, wow, man, I want wanting all of this and all of this. And then if you have this eye of design, and then trust me, with your CSS, you just in your dream, you just be dreaming of, okay, I think I need to start my code like I need to start my code like while you're sleeping because of the CSS, how interesting CSS can be. You have not even gotten to any phase. Trust me. By the time you go deeper into CSS, you feel like, wow, I'm on top of the world. But for now, okay, so that is how class works. Now it is not a good idea for me to use IDA. But then I said it's going to work if I pass it, right? But then it is not a good idea. Then I'm not going to do it. Okay. If I should say I want to pass IDA, it's going to work. Like, okay, I remove the class and then I pass ID. It's still going to work. I'll get the styling of my cat, the category, and sorry, the cat, I'll get the styling. But then it's not a best practice. So it's best that I use class, right? So and at the same time, just because I have class attribute on this particular element doesn't mean I cannot pass ID also on it. In some cases, we need to use ID and class at the same time. Although the ID may have a different styling, or maybe the ID that you're passing may be not for styling. Say, okay, I have another ID here, and I'm saying maybe for JavaScript purpose, I'm saying reset, something like this. So perhaps maybe I want to reset testing my card to another text. So this ID, everything is working fine, no error, no code. I have class as an attribute and then the value, and then I have ID as an attribute and then the value. But this ID in this context is not for styling. It's basically for JavaScript. Say, okay, for something else, it may not be for JavaScript, it may be for something else. But this one is not for styling. So let's learn how to maintain one particular style scope for our element so that you don't have conflict of styles. All right. So I won't want to say, okay, after passing test card and then I styled it, and then I now pass ID reset, and then I want to style reset again. It does not make any sense. So it's going to like cause conflict in styling, and then we are going to not like it. So it's best to focus on the test card, and then every styling that we want to have, release it in there. So this is the last thing we're going to talk about. Why using the internal styling, and then we're going to go straight to the external styling. So okay, now I need to style my L1. I need to style my L1. So the first thing I need to do, okay, the first thing I want to do, not what I need to do. The first thing I want to do is I'll call L1. Okay, so L1. But then there's something I like to explain to you guys. Let's style this one first. L1, say, what do we have for L1? Okay, we have color. We have color, white smoke, and then we have margin. Okay. All right. So now this is where, now in this case, we have LI, we have different styling for our LI. So if I should call the LI and then I use one styling, the styling is going to affect everything. So how do we fix that? Since we need space, right? We need space between all of these things. So instead of using all of this, we can just say margin bottom for everything. Margin bottom like this, and then we'll call 25 pixels. Right? Sorry, this should be down. Yeah. Then I'll remove this. Also, I remove this. And then I remove this. Okay. So then I call the element L1. Like I select the element L1. And then white smoke. Let me use a different color. Let's use let's use Peru. Okay, now let's save and then see what we have. Okay, so Peru, and then the margin bottom is working fine, like working just fine. So there's no problem. Since I call the L1, everything is applicable. The way it is applicable to each element, the same thing is applicable to the LI, this list item element also. So this styling is affecting both the name, the color, and the number of links. So, but then if I need to have different styling for this theory, like I said, feel free to pass ID or class to all of this. Like, feel free to use it however you want to do it. Okay. So then anything you pass here, when you style it, it's going to affect the name only. And then anything you pass here, when you style it, it's going to affect the color only. It's as simple as that. So I was saying to select list item inside list item inside list item. It's just for you to like to call the list item. Well, I think this is not the best way to do it, but you can actually do it by, let's say, okay, I have a class here. You can feel free. Let me use the class, and then say, okay, let me use another. Okay, and then here, this is li and li is causing a little bit of conflict, so I can just say another. All right. So that's just it. But because this another is a class, and I cannot just call it like this automatically, I have to pass dot. So this how you can see, feel free to just play with it however you want. So I will come again, I will say, okay, I need to style the list item inside other list only, not the list item inside UL. All right, the list item inside other list only. I'll just need to like, okay, I will call my list item. Let me change. I'm coming. Let's just do that first. Okay, let's change this. Let's say green for this. Then we save. Let me remove this. Then let's save it. Already we are targeting the list item inside other list. So we don't expect this styling to have effect on this styling. On this list item, because we are not calling the UL. We are restricting our styling to this list item inside other list. So now let's see how it looks like. Okay, fine. I think it worked. Yeah. So now this is our list item, and this is another list item inside UL. But because we restricted our styling to the OL, right? That means the list item inside the OL is the only thing that will be affected. So what I tried earlier I was trying to get a list item inside another list item, which I think it wasn't working. Yeah. Well, the whole thing of CSS and HTML programming in general is just give it a try and then see how it works. So what then how I'm supposed to do it is to pass a UL, because for every list item you need to declare what type of list item am I even doing now. All right, so that's why. So the list item and then an li. All right. So let's say then we give this one a class. No, let's give an ID. Let's give an ID. Let's give it let's say new list. Let's see, I've not tried it before, but let's see if it's going to work. All right, new lists, and then let's see, let's give it something. New lists. Okay. So now let's give it a class. Let's see, say new list chart, for example. Now I need to style this my new list. This is just what I need to style. I don't need any of these guys. So how do I call it? So let's see if it's going to work, because the chaining is getting too long. I have to change from OL to LI to UL and then to LI. So let's see how it's going to work. Now let's try it. So let's call OL first, then LI. Then after that we have a class. Where is the class? Where is the class? New list. All right. So let's say, is that a class? Okay, ID. So let's call new list. New list. And then now we have class, new list child dot new lists child. Then let's style it. Let's pray it's going to work. Let's say color, and then which color are we giving? Let's say, okay, aqua. All right, so let's change the font size so we are going to see it clearly. Font size, let's just use 25 pixel. Then let's save it. Let's save it. Let's save it. Let's pray it's going to work. Yeah, let's pray. All right. So fine, it worked. Wow, interesting. Okay, so now you can see that because I have a UL inside a list item, which is LI, other list, every UL will give you a bullet numbering. That's what UL will always do. That's why I have a bullet numbering here. Okay, but then if I should give this 4, I don't have any value for 4, for list item number 4. See, I don't have any value here. The value I have is directly the UL, but then I can still pass a value here. Let me say, okay, I need a value here before the UL. Let's just do like, let's pass number 4 value. Number 4 value. Let's just see how it's going to look like. This is a value. Okay, forget about this for now. Let me just cut this. This is number 4. It's just a value for the li, right? Now let's save it and you see it, number 4. Just a normal value for the li. But then inside this value, I need to get another thing inside of it, right? That's when we now come up with the ul again. A ul inside inside a li. So now let me save it and see how it's going to look like. All right, fine. That is very interesting. This is more like when you are styling, when you're having numbering in Word documents that, okay, I have 1, 2, 3, and then my 4, I need my 4 to have another sub. So that's just what you do. So trust me, if I should open this li and let's say I copy this guy now, and then paste it here also, right? Let me remove this one because we need a unique ID. I don't even need this guy here. Let me just pass. Let me leave it empty. Then I save it. So you're going to see, you're going to have sub children. Fine. See, interesting. Sub children. That's just how it works. And trust me, look at what it's giving us. Because HTML knew already that, okay, here we have a bullet. We already have a single sign. So we don't want to be repeating that sign. So HTML is very smart. Then decided to give us another symbol. Instead of using the previous one, then, oh, wow, let's try another symbol. That means if I should create another list item under this, then we are going to have another symbol. But no, we won't be creating that today. So I'm just trying to explain how all of these things works and how you can get inside a list, an element inside an element inside an element. So that's just what we did here. And trust me, look at what we do. We actually selected the OL, that's the first thing. Then after that, we selected the LI, that's the second thing, because we have everything like this. This new list is a child of a child of a child of a child. That's why we have to like go from the mother down to the child, the list one that we need to call. So from the mother, which is the OL, to the I would say, okay, from the great grandparent to the grandparent to the mother. Okay, no, from the grandparent to the great. All right, just anyhow you guys want to call it, but then we were able to achieve what we need to achieve. So we pick this guy, then the mother, then the mother, and then the mother. So that's just how it works. Thank you very much. Samuel Boma. Yeah, I expect questions right now. I expect questions, but I know we are all smart. We are all smart. You can easily get all of these things, and then we won't need to like ask a lot of questions. So Samuel Boma, please unmute yourself and ask a question.
Good morning.
Good morning, boss.
This class shock. I cannot do it. Take it easy on us.
Okay. Okay. No problem. No Allah. All right. The second question. I understand you, Samuel. I will take it slowly. Now, the second question, please. I want to take the second question. Okay, if you're not available anymore. All right, let's just take it slowly. People, I can see, yeah, we are getting confused, but let's take it slowly. So let's just remove this for now. I was only trying to explain how we can combine our selector, okay, because we are definitely going to get there, all right, how we can combine our selector. That's why we need to add this UL inside our LI, okay, but then let's just get this out for now, and then let's focus on our list item. Okay, so, and now after that, we don't need these guys anymore. That's all about the internal styling. It's very simple. It's very, very simple. Don't forget, whichever one you want to use, your element, your class, or your ID, just make sure you call it and then style it. And whatever styling you give, it's going to have effect on the element that you call, right? And like I said, if you call H1 as an element, you call the H1, the styling that you give is going to affect every H1 you have on your page. Only if the H1 has a parent, and then you call the parent first before calling the H1, right? That's just what we did here, like OL, LI, and UL, LI. Because list item is actually, we have list item under OL, and we also have it under UL. But then if I should call list item directly, it's going to affect the UL sorry, the li under ol and ul, but then I need it to affect only the li under ol. That's why I need to like combine the ol and the li. As easy as that. I just combine, okay, I call the li the parent of the li, meaning that now only it is only, sorry, I'm just trying to make you guys understand, all right? The only li I want this thing to affect is the li that is a child to ol. Do not go to li that is not a child. Like, don't go outside of this scope. That's just the explanation here, or whatever we do here. All right, so now that is all about internal styling. Anything you want to do, just ensure that everything is inside the star, and then you're going to have everything you need perfectly however you want it. So the same scope that we are using, we are going to use the same thing for external style sheet, external styling. So what we need to do for that, since from the name it is called external, let me take it slowly. Now all of this is an internal styling, right? And we declare this, we actually created this tag or this element inside our header because we want it internal. So we created it inside our head tag, our head element. See, below the title, we have our style. Okay, it is inside our head. Why do we have it that way? It's for us to have a neat code, a very neat and a very visible code. So then all our styling is going to be inside of this place, right? So I can easily close it and then write, I'm not seeing my styling again. If I read it again, come here and open it, and then you see your styling again. As simple as that. Now, we want to go straight into the external styling. External, you are not styling anything inside this place. It's going to be all external. The only thing you need is to link your external sheet to what you have on your page, to your HTML page. Just link it, and then all your styling is going to be affecting whatever it is or having effects on whatever element that you call. All right. Am I like fast? I'm trying to like make it slow so that we can all get, well, like I said last week or last Tuesday, that CSS is going to get really difficult and really, really interesting. Only if you're ready to know it, then you're going to know it. If you're really, really ready to know it. Trust me, some persons are still learning CSS today. But if you are dedicated, like from last year, you can spend a year learning CSS. But please, you only need to be dedicated and want to learn it. Just within 2 weeks, you're going to learn your CSS. Just with the help of how we are going, just like this. Within 2 weeks, you're going to learn your CSS very well. Then it's going to be left to you. It's going to be left with you to now make more research to get better in the advanced styling and advanced properties in CSS. So let's not get confused or anything. If you have any concern or any issue or anything you don't understand, feel free to draw me back. Please feel free to draw me back, and I'll be ready to actually attend to you. Praise Edoho. Don't worry, I will attend to the padding. I will attend to the padding. Like, okay, just unmute yourself and ask a question. Let me believe it's not the padding you want to talk about.
That was the question. That was the question. I remember.
I knew it. Yeah, I'm still with you. Don't worry. I will attend to it. So I just want us to cover the whole internal and external first, and then I'll get to the padding. Okay. So now, how do we even go about this external, all of those? You guys have been shouting. How do we go about external? Yes. Why do we need external? Yes, because there's something they call components in development. Component means, okay, I don't have to go to this place before I can do this thing. I don't have to come to my HTML before I can style my code. I want to have my styling somewhere different. Like you guys can see now, I'm still seeing my styling inside my HTML page. But then, well, best practice says, please just find a way to have a different sheet. Have a different sheet for your style. Make it just don't include your style inside the HTML page. That's the best practice. That is the best practice. So how do we do that? It's just the way we created an HTML file for this index.html, like you can see here. We are going to create another file for our CSS, another file for our styling. It's as simple as that. Just here, you can right click. You can right click here and create a new file, right? Or you can come up here. You're going to see where we have new file here, just immediately beside the name of your folder. You see it, new file. Just click on it, and then you have a new file. And then you can change the name style.css. That's how you can do it. You can either right click like this, create a new file, then give it styles.css, or you just come here, click on it like this, and then give it style.css or anything. But it is best, like I said last week or 2 weeks ago, that when we are right, our index.html should be index.html. We start anything we want to do from index.html. When you have other pages, you can give it a different name, but make sure your landing page, your home page, is always starting from index.html. Your landing page. Landing page is the page you're going to get in first when you open your website. The page that's going to appear to users first when you open your website. That's the landing page. And that should always come as index.html. Also, for our styling, right, let's try as much as possible to maintain style.css as the name of our style. Our CSS sheet should always be style.css. Well, HTML means this is an HTML file, while CSS means this is a CSS file. It's very easy. HTML, HTML file, CSS, CSS file. And from the icon, as you can see, we have the HTML icon, and then we have the CSS icon. So as simple as that. Now, after creating the file, what do we need to do? You don't just create the file and then start styling. No, it doesn't work that way. Well, if you start styling, yeah, you're going to style as much as you want. But then your HTML file is not going to see it. There's no way it's going to see. There's no magic that will just make it see it automatically. No. What you need to do is to find a way to link this style.css, link it with your index.html. So that now when you link it, then they are going to like work together. Whatever it is you are calling from these guys now is going to, like whatever you are styling here now is going to be affecting this element here. Now I created my style.css, and I can decide to start styling without linking. I can say, okay, I want to style. Okay, I need to style, let's say this, sorry. Like you already know how to use our styling. Here, we don't need to declare style anymore because already we are inside style.css. So we don't need to declare, like, we don't need to create a tag or style. So we just continue styling. So we have a universal property. You have a universal syntax, which is the star, the asterisk. This one. All right. So I can say this one, like I explained on my slide, I said this, whatever it is that you have here is going to affect everything you have on your page. Now let's give this border. Let's say border 1 pixel, solid, then red. I hope you did not forget how to use border. So this is how to use border. Now I've styled my pages. Normally I'm supposed to see this thing reflecting on my page, but then it's not. Why is it not reflecting? It's because I have not linked my style.css to my index.html. I cannot just expect it to just see it like that. No, I have to link it. So how do I link it? Linking is done at the head. That's one thing about that's what Blade does, a lot of linking. Anything that has to do with, okay, I need to link a file that I'm using somewhere, I need to use a library that I'm getting from somewhere, or I need to use a framework that I'm getting from somewhere, and I have the link, I need to make it visible on my HTML. Then most of those things are done inside the head. Most of those things are done inside the head. All right, so now I need to link my style.css to my index.html. So with the help of VS Code, you can just type link. Just type link. And then you see options that you have. I'm not linking an atom, I'm linking a CSS. All right. See, you can see it's option 3. So just scroll down and then enter. So you have it automatically. Let's forget about this rel for now. We are not getting there. we only need to style, we need to link our style.css with our index.html. Now, don't forget, this is a reference like we did in our anchor tag. This href is referencing our index.html to style.css. If, should in case, the name you have is styles.css, then you have to ensure that the name you have here is also styles.css. The name you have here has to be the same name that you have here for it to work properly. Now, if I should hold Control and click on this thing, just hold Control and over on this, you're going to see follow link. Hold it down and over on it. Then you can click on it. If you click on it, it's going to take you to your CSS file. That means, okay, my CSS has been properly linked to my index.html. If it's taking you to somewhere else, let's say, okay, you know, my name, the name of my CSS is style. Now, let's say I mistakenly include S here. In this href, I mistakenly include S. Now, if I should want to like go there directly from here, I hold my control or my command on Mac, control on Windows. I hold my control or my command and I click on it. See what it's saying. Unable to open style.css. Do you want to create one? That's what this means. That's because I have error. I've made a mistake in naming the name that I gave. So now I don't need a new one. So let me just cancel it. And then I'll just change this to style.css. Then I can check again if I've properly linked it, hold command or control, and then click on it. So fine, we are good to go. Now, if I should save here, and then remember, you have to save on both sides if you are not on auto save. If you make any change, then you have to Control S, and then inside the index, you have to also Control S. Now we are saved. Now let's check our page. Let's see how it looks like. Okay, then we are not seeing any change for now. I don't know why that is. Okay, let me remove things. Okay. Come in. I believe it should work without the rel. Expect it to work without the rel. Okay. Come in, I'm just making a test run. Okay. All right, I was thinking this was going to work without the rel. So, but then it's not working. So what we need to, now let me explain the rel. Although it's just a normal link, it's just a relation, right? What type of CSS do we have? It's a style sheet. That's just, okay, declaring the type of, well, it shouldn't work well because HTML does not know the type of styling or the type of sheet that you want me to link to. By just linking me to that style, right? You're not telling me the type of sheet you're actually seeking to. So that's when the rel, which is relation, comes in, and that is style sheet. Then it's telling us, okay, now link to rel, which is style sheet, and then href, the reference is now going to be style.css. This is telling us, okay, the link to where we are going, the name is style.css. And what type of style.css are we even working on? Which one are we even talking about? Then it is a style sheet. All right, so sorry for that error from my end. Okay, so after linking, let me just remove this style. We don't need it anymore. Like I said, we won't be using the internal and the external. Sorry, the inline and the internal. We are going to be using only the external. I'm just saying all of this so that you guys can know it, and then later in the future, if you need to work with it, then you can easily go there and work with it. But for now, we are going to basically be working with the external style sheet. So I created my style sheet, I created my style.css, and then I had to link it so that anything I'm doing there is going to be affecting what I have here. All right. So now I called just by typing link, then you have your link CSS. Okay, then click on it and then pass href. Okay, pass href as the name of the CSS file, and then ensure that you pass a relation that, okay, this is a style sheet. This is a style sheet. It's as simple as that. All right, so now let's save again and then see the styling that I made here. I expect, okay, this asterisk is affecting all of the elements I have on my page. So I expect all of them to have border 1 pixel, solid, and red. So that's what we have. Now, every of the elements is having border. This one is having a border, one page is solid red, one page is solid red, all of those. So that is just telling us that, okay, fine, the style is working correctly. So let's just comment this out. And then how do you comment in style in CSS? How do you comment in style.css? The same way you do comment in your index, just hold your command and then // If you're using window, hold your control and / command // then it's going to comment it out. You can see that there's a little bit difference with the way the comment looks like with CSS and the way it looks like with index. Yeah, it's okay. Don't worry about that. Just ensure that you comment whatever you don't need, that you just want it to appear on your VS Code, on your editor. You don't want it to appear on your page. Now, let's say we save this now. Let's see what we have. Fine, all of those things is out. All right. So why are all these ones also like back to default is because I deleted the style that we have inside of this place. But then I don't think I should delete it. Let me just copy it because I will need the styling again. So let me copy the H1, copy everything like this. Copy it like this, since I will have to need it again. Then let me remove this and then go to my style. And then I'll paste it here. Save. All right. So the same way that we style using the internal style sheet, external style, that's the same way we are styling using the external style. Please, let's not get confused, please. If you are confused at any point, feel free to draw me back. The same way we are styling our elements. Okay, George, Usan, please, kindly just raise your concern, ask a question.
Good morning. Please, I'm trying to link I've created a new sheet for the CSS, but it's not linking because I'm trying to link it with the HTML, but when I open, it's just showing me something else. It's not showing me what I created in the style sheet. Although I'm using the same style sheet, href, I'm using the attributes are correct. The attributes of my HTML are correct. I created a new CSS document and I used border 1 pixel solid. Everything is correct, but it's actually not linking. Like it's not showing in my browser.
Okay. Let me ask you this. What do you have inside your href? Spell it for me. Spell it what you have inside your href.
style.css.
Okay. Now your file. Can you spell your file name for me?
style.css.
Okay, fine. Do you have your style inside a folder?
Yes, it's inside the folder, yes.
Okay, fine. That means you have to check out. All right, so I don't want to get into that now. But in that case, since you have it inside a folder, you can just use / to get out into a folder, just like, okay, I think it's -- fine. Or / something like this. Let me give you an example. Let's say I really don't want to get this far, but let's just do it. Say I created a folder CSS, for example, and then inside the folder I have style.css. Let me use styles. Okay, so then let me use the same thing that I used there. Copy star and paste it here. So let me comment this. So I need to link this one, this new styles. See, there's S here. So this new styles, I need to link it to my index.html. All right. So it's not going to just link directly. You have to reference, or you cannot bypass the folder. You have to like check out from the folder and then straight to your index.html. So doing that, let's just link first, and then now say dash like this. That means get out of where you are, right? Get out. Now you can see that you have cat.jpg, you have css / you have index.html, you have lion, and then you have style. So because you have your CSS or your styles.css inside a folder, you need to use the dot slash. That dot slash is like a declaration that, okay, I need to get inside of something. I need to get inside of a particular folder. Then which folder are you getting inside of? I'm getting inside this CSS that I created, CSS folder. So that's the second one. Click on it. And then inside that folder, see, you have the style.css styles. Now it's showing for you. So it's as simple as that. Now you have dot slash the folder that you created, the CSS folder, and then the name of the file that you created inside the folder. So now let's check. Fine, I have it. It's as simple as that.
Still,
Still doesn't work. Okay, well, I really need to see your screen for that, but then you can't share your screen right now. So I don't know if you can screenshot your page and send it to the chat. I think will attend to you. Like if you can screenshot the entire page of your editor, then copy it on the chat.
I can't. I'm using
Using what?
PC. Why zoom on my phone?
Okay. Well, you can snap it also. If I don't know if you can share. I don't know if you can share a snap here. I'm not sure. But if you can't do that, feel free to just drop a screenshot on Discord. I think we'll allow you to attend to you. Just do that. All right. So thank you. There's definitely an issue with your parts, because you don't just, if you have your style inside the folder, you have to get the parts properly and accurately for it to actually be linked properly. So, but we are not getting to this yet. Yeah, that's just a small thing for us to learn. But trust me, we'll get to that later. So for now, we are focused on this. We created a style in the root, not inside the folder. We just created a style of CSS in the root of our folder where we have the index. So because this index and style are on the same level, so we don't need to get inside anything before we link it. Just link it directly and you're good to go. All right. So now after that, inside our style, we call H1 element, then H4, then the ID cards, then the text cards and class, and then the OLLI, and then OLLI. As simple as that. So now let me save it. Let me save this also and see what we have on our page. Fine, everything is back to normal. That means our styling is working. As simple as that. And then trust me, when you have it like that, you can easily just, okay, I don't need to be having my CSS inside my HTML. I can differentiate between my CSS and my HTML document and my HTML file. So anything I'm doing now, all of this, I don't need it. Let me just remove all of this out. Okay, but the only thing that you have here is your ID and your class, because you have to have the ID or the class so that you can style it inside your style.css. That's just what you're going to be needing. So all of this, let's just remove it. Okay, let's use this. Instead of removing it, let me style it inside my style. We have background color, padding 55, and then border radius. So Fred, please kindly listen because I will be explaining the padding again now. So OL, why am I calling the OL? Because right now the styling is an inline for the OL. So that means what I want to style is the OL, which is the parent to LI. That's why I'm calling the OL directly. So OL, now what do I want to give to OL? Background color, that will be maroon from what we gave earlier. And then we also have, padding, which is horizontal and vertical, or vertical and horizontal, which is 55. Let me just copy it instead of writing it again. Like I said, my bad habit to copy and paste. Yeah. All right, then a border radius also, I'm going to copy that too. And then straight here, I'll paste it. So let me remove it first. Let me remove it here. I don't need this anymore. Out, save my HTML file. And because I already made changes on my style also, I need to save it also. So save, Ctrl S. Now we are good. Now let's see what we have. Fine, it's still the same thing. But then I want us to see the change. No, it's not the same thing. Okay, now I can see that the border radius is not affecting, like it's not reflecting. Why? Is because there's an error. Oh my code. Can someone tell me what the error is? This OL, can someone just tell me what the error is here inside this OL styling? Please, if you can tell me, just type it on the chat. Let me see how smart we are. Okay. I have hands. Marcel, just tell me what the error is on this OL. Why is the border radius not working? Marcel.
Thank you very much. That my hands have been up for a while. It wasn't basically for this question. It has been there.
Okay. I'm sorry. No problem. Just leave it. Leave it there. Okay. I will attend to you. Let me just. Okay. All right.
All right.
Intec, do you have an answer to that? What do you think is the error? Why don't we have the border
I have
radius?
an answer.
Okay.
Okay, the reason is that you used a double quote instead of semicolon.
Semicolon. God bless you, Intec. Oh,
Hello?
are you right? Yes, I can hear you. Okay, I think that's interesting. That's really
Okay,
interesting.
yeah, I say use a double quote.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure if you are right, so I want to hear from David Dozie also. David Dozie, what do you think is the answer to that? Why is this thing not working? Why? Do you think is double quote? If it's not something else. David Dozie is not here with us. Oh, I can. All right, those ones are not here with us. Fine, thank you, Marcel. You have it right. So it's because of
I'm here with you, sir.
Okay. It's because of the colon that we have after the 40 pixel instead of the semicolon. All right, so if I should save it now and then check my page again, I should have the border radius. Fine, interesting. So everything is working fine and interesting. And now we have our styling somewhere in a different sheet, not on the same sheet, right? And then everything is looking fine. On our index.html, we have only our HTML element and tags. While inside our style, we have only our styles. So what we are going to be stopping here for today. All right. So what I want you guys to do is to move. Like, okay, don't worry. Yeah, I'll drop the task. I'll drop the task, but you guys should get your mind prepared that we are going to be moving our styles from the inline, not the internal. We're not using the internal. We're going to be using the external style sheet. So you have to move every of the styles from the inline straight to your external style sheet and make it work perfectly. Don't forget, keep up with the, okay, just you guys should hold on that for now. When I drop the task, I'll update you guys on what to do. But keep your mind or prepare your mind that you're going to be moving your style from inline to your external style sheet. And well, I was expecting that we are going to touch more stuff today, but this has really taken much of our day. And then we are out of time already. Yeah, feel free to drop your question, like I always say, on the chat, and we'll be there to help you out. I can see a few hands up. Yeah, we are going to be taking the questions now. Okay, sorry, before we go, quick one. Let me explain the padding again. Fred, I almost forgot that. All right, so yeah, OL, I'm going to remove the padding for now. Let me just see how it is first. Here we have padding 55 pixel vertical. Vertical means up and bottom, top and bottom, top and bottom. Let me write a comment here. Let me make a comment and then say padding equals top. Can someone remind me? Top right, left, bottom. I can't. This thing seems to be really confusing. And then the second one, padding, vertical and horizontal. And then the last one, padding, box. The first one is when you want to pass four different value to your property, your back padding property. That's when you now check, okay, the first one I'm passing, let's say I want to have 35 pixel and then 2 or say 15 pixel. Now here you're going to say, okay, the first one is affecting the top. That means the top padding. Okay.
Yeah, it's top right, bottom left.
Top right. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Top right, bottom left. Yeah, thank you very much. Top right, bottom left. Yeah. So now this one is affecting our top. The second one is affecting the right. Then the third one is affecting the bottom. And then the last one is affecting the left. So with the value that you pass, the 55 pixel, 40 pixel, 35 pixel, you're going to see the changes yourself. So let's see it. I'll explain why it's like that. So let's see. Okay, so this is what we have. The top. Let me change the top. Let me make this very small. Okay. Come in. Okay, this is 10 pixel, sorry. So we have top right, no, that's not what we need. Top right, bottom left. Let's increase this left, like 55 pixel, and then the top bottom to like 15 pixel, and then let's save it. All right, so this is what we have. Our top is giving a space, like it's expanding itself from the content. That's what padding does. Padding will expand itself from the content, because without the padding, if I should comment it out, without the padding, everything is going to be so close to the wall. It's more like you are trying to choke the parents. You are trying to choke your parents. But then we don't want you to choke your parents. We want to have, I need space. The parent needs space. You can't suffocate the parent. You need space. So in that case, like I said, mostly children don't really listen to stuff. They don't listen. So in that case, the parents will decide to expand itself. Parents will always want to make space, right? Parents will always want to inconvenience themselves for their children. That's what is happening here. But in this case, the parents try as much as possible to expand itself so that it can give more space for the children, right? So that's what padding is about. Padding will allow, okay, now they are so close to the wall. Anything can happen from outside, like a bullet from outside, and then, or maybe it's just something outside and then hit the child immediately, right? But then that's not nice, all right? That's really not nice. So what the parent does is to expand itself so that, okay, my children can have more space, and myself also, I can have a breathing space. All right, so that's what padding does. If I should give padding top, means this parent, expand yourself from the top, give us more space from the top, give gap between yourself and the children, like between the wall. I don't like the way this name is too close to the top wall. Now, if I should say padding top, now I give 45 pixel, save. This means give space, like expand yourself from the top. Now let's see it. See, it expand itself. The parent expand itself from the top. That's just what padding does. But then if I should say, now let's see something. This same parent, if I should give it margin top, let's see what will happen. Instead of expanding itself, no, it's going to shift itself downward. Margin top. Let's use margin top. And then use 50 pixel. Now margin top will shift itself downward. See? Let me make you guys see the change very well. Let's use 250. Now let's see, and then see. See, it's actually shifts itself downward. That's what margin will give space between two items. Between two items. This again is one item because it's above this OL. And then the OL is another item. So margin will now give space, create space between again and again, and then the OL itself. While padding will create space within yourself. Like padding will create space within yourself, expand yourself to a particular in relative to the size of your child, like to your children. That's just the difference between the padding and the margin. Margin will create space, like just okay, I like the way you like say you have your neighbor, the fence of your neighbor is beside your house, right? And then let's say, wow, I don't like the way we are too close to our neighbor, something like that. I need small space. I need space from them. Let's just shift our fence, right? In that case, you use margin. Like I need margin. So you use margin to differentiate, to just create gap between your fence and your neighbor's fence. Only if you can move the house though. So but then if you are using let's say a mobile house, you can easily carry your house and move it to another place. That's a margin. It's just okay, I create a margin between our house and our neighbor's house. But then if you are applying padding to yourself, you say, okay, I want to create a padding. Padding will only affect within. Okay, say, okay, this is my house. Now I need padding for my house. I need padding within my house and the content of my house. Like say, okay, a compound and the building itself, the fence and the building itself. The house may be so close to the wall, like the house is too close to the wall. So if you apply padding to the wall, say you apply padding of 45 pixels to the wall, now the fence will now expand itself and create more space between that wall and the house. You know, the fence is a parent to the house because the fence surrounds the house. So the fence is a parent to the house. And applying padding to the fence means you are expanding the fence, creating more space or giving more space to the building itself. While margin, we give space between that your house entirely, your building entirely, the fence of your building, and the neighbor. Like I just need gap between myself and our neighbor. That's what margin and padding. That's just the difference between margin and padding. You will get to understand it very well when we started using it. All right. It's going to be very clear to you when you start using it now. So Fred, I don't know if you're able to get a little bit from my explanation. If you cannot get it clearly still, feel free to chat. Ogochus can help you out. Femi Blaze can always help you out on the group chat. Feel free to chat them up and then maybe make a call, let them explain to you, and then I believe they'll make you understand properly. You can also chat me up too. So I'll actually be glad to explain better to you. And feel free to go online, right? Go online and read more about padding and margin. God bless you. All right. And the first person, the first hand coming. Okay, Charles Adina, please, your question, sharp. We are out of time already. Charles Adina.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, boss.
So my question, yeah, good morning, sir. My question is our previous assignment that you gave us. You know, you asked us to use image of our favorite book. Now, I've been trying to move that image to center align, but I don't know these things to use. I try using image align, but it's not working. And if I use text align, the image is not really text. So I don't know what to use so that I can put that image in the middle.
Okay, the thing is, text align doesn't work for images. Like you said, it's only text, like, you know, text align. So there are ways in which you can achieve your text to the middle. Well, for now, feel free to use padding. But then at some point, let's say that will be on Tuesday, we are going to get to container where we can use div. All right, where we can use div and then we can use flex. When we start using display flex, how to display our item on our page, then you are going to get how to centralize your image properly. But for now, feel free to use padding left. It's not the best practice. It's not even a good thing to do. But feel free to use padding left to centralize your image in the center. Next week, Tuesday, trust me, don't worry. We are going to get into display, grid, and flex. And also, we are going to talk about containerization. Thank you very much, Charles Adina. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Are we okay? Are we okay, Charles? Okay.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Elijah, the question. Please drop your hand, Charles. Elijah.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Elijah.
Yeah, please. I want to get more enlightenment. Please, under that on that list, there is a line. Those two lines inside the border. Please, can you explain or show me how you got the line again, please?
Okay. I'm not okay. You mean this line?
Yes.
Okay, I believe people can answer the question, but yeah, let's do that. If you check, we have not moved that one down here yet. So let's just go to our index, and then this is our on ordered list. So each of this item, each of the list item, this is a list item. Remember, a list item and another list item. So each of the list item is having a border button. What does border do? Border gives a border, just like a border around, right? Just the way you border. So it gives a line, depends on what line you want. So it gives a line around your text or your item or whatever it is that you apply border to. So if you apply border only, just border, then the border is going to be applicable. That's what we did for this UL. Let me show you. For the UL, we have border, 9 pixel, dotted, maroon. So the first one is the width of the border. The second one is the type of the border, dotted. If you were in the last class, I said we have 3 types of border. We have the solid, the dotted, and the dashed. So here we are using the dotted, while the last one is the color. As you can see from the comments here, we have width, type, and color. Width is the thickness, the 9 pixel. It starts from 1 to however you want to have it. The second one is the type, dotted. The third one is the color. So that one is affecting, because I called border only, is affecting everything, like just round the whole shape. All right. But then for the list item, we only call border bottom. We want this border to only affect the bottom of the item. That's why we have to declare border bottom here, right? And then we say 1 pixel, solid. Solid means don't give space. I want a solid line, straight. And then the color maroon. If I should change this to 3 pixel, you see the changes, difference. It's going to get thicker. Do you see? So 3 pixel make it thicker. 1 pixel is thinner, while 3 pixel makes it thicker. It's just the size. How do you want the thickness to be? So border bottom. And then the last one, the list item is also having a border bottom. All right. If I should change this border bottom to border top, and then the padding bottom to padding top, then I save it. We are going to see the border is going to come up. See, this border now is now coming on top of this nickname. It's coming on top of the nickname. So that's just the difference. Border bottom and border top. That's how we're able to achieve a line in between. So I'll return it to the bottom and the bottom. So we have a beautiful CSS style. All right. So I think that answers your question, Elijah. Are we good?
Yes, sir.
All right. Please, if it doesn't, feel free to still reach out to us on the Discord channel. Are you Kenny, big man? Please unmute yourself and ask a question.
Good afternoon.
Yeah.
Okay, so the previous assignment that you gave us is asked us to, like, I created the LMS account already. Okay. So I saw the first tax. It was showing only 1 tax. It recently sent us. So I've submitted already.
Yeah, that's very cool.
What about the previous one you asked us to do concerning the favorite book? I didn't see the tax there.
The favorite book, the last task is actually an adjustment on the favorite book. Like you have to work on the same link, right? Is that what you do? Or you have 2 links for favorite book and the last task?
No, I have different link for
different
it.
Link. Okay, well, okay.
No, the first one I joined them together since you said if you created a doc. So my code pen, I copied the 2 links and pasted it on the 1 doc.
Okay.
The previous link you sent to us that we should submit before creating this LMS account.
You know what? Don't worry about the previous task. Just the last task that I gave, the link that you get from that last task is what you have to submit. As far as you have submitted that, then you are good to go.
Okay, so my second question is the internal, because I didn't separate my CSS. I just did it together with for the internal, like HTML and CSS. I joined them together. I didn't create a set. Are we to correct it, or if you submitted, there's no need to re-edit?
What do you mean from the last?
The last one.
Don't worry about that. Those ones are very fine. This one we are doing today is just a new class, and then it's not related to the last task.
Okay, thank you so much.
No problem. Okay, the last person, Nedu, sharp, please. Let's call it a day. We're already out of time. Nedu Okoro. You still have your hand up.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, afternoon, Nedu.
Sorry, my question is just, I don't know. I was just thinking aloud. So from the last one, the first question Mr. Elijah raised about the LI, where he was asking about the border button and blah, blah.
Yeah.
So I was now thinking, is it possible for yours to use an HR tag? Will it still give us the same line like the border bottom?
How do you mean HR tag?
the HR that is like, for if you have HR tag that will give us that line.
Okay, horizontal.
Horizontal, yes, horizontal
Okay,
HR.
fine. Well, what horizontal does is to divide the screen, like divide just to create a line that will stretch from the side,
Okay.
and like that will just divide. But this border is affecting the item itself.
Is that okay?
The item. So if you see it, it's just the item itself. Why is stretching out to this length is because the parent is also stretching. They are all out 100%. All right. But then what HR will do is to divide the entire screen. That's just what HR does. All right. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Don't
you
worry,
very much.
we are going to use HR too at some point. I think that's what you used, Abby, for your own.
Yeah, I was just from me. I was just looking at if
out
we
loud,
use it, if
yeah,
it's going
yeah.
to work. But I just let me just ask the same question to you.
Well,
Just
if you use it in this case, if you use HR in this case, it's going to like, let me show you. I like to just practicalize everything. Let's see how it's going to work. So after our UL, let's use HR. All right. So see how it works. See, it's divides that this is actually separating the screen. Can you see? And I'm not sure you can even change the color of HR. You can't specify a color. Let me try that. Let me say style. Say color. It should have it. Okay, let's see. Red. Let's just pass red. See if it's gonna work. Okay. I'm not sure. It does. It doesn't work. Yeah. So I'm not sure you can change the color. So it's just going to divide the screen. That's
okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much for bringing out. All right. We can also, well, let's not get to that. Why some persons have actually grabbed that. So the last question. Okay, no more question. Thank you very much, guys. I've actually taken plenty of your time. Yeah, this is 12:21 already. It's supposed to end by 12. Thank you very much. Praise Edo, please, your question, sharp. Just say it, just say it.
Sorry. I copied my assignment from CodePin, but I didn't like copy it fully mistakenly and I submitted it. So if I submit the full one now, there's no issue. Is there an issue?
What do you mean by copy? Do you copy the link or you copy the? I don't get, what do you copy exactly? You don't copy everything from your VS Code, Abby?
Yeah, I did everything in my VS Code, then put it in CodePin.
Okay.
So I copied half of the code. Yes, half of the code mistakenly and submitted it. So if I submit the full one, there's no issue.
See what you do. That same one that you copy out, just copy the completion and paste it there. It's a link. So whatever changes you make to that link is going to reflect. It's going to reflect. It's going to update that link. So copy the completion of your code and paste it on your code pen and save it. That's what you need to do. Don't worry about the link. The link you copy will update itself. All right. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you really, really much for staying this long. I really appreciate us. So we are going to meet again. We will always be meeting on Discord. And don't forget, register to LMS and submit your task there. Click on the stage 0. All of the previous tasks we have is for stage 0. So click on stage 0 task and submit your link inside the provided space for you to submit. Thank you very much. We will meet again, same time, same venue next week, Tuesday. And there will be a task, an assignment, which is going to be used for a promotional task. This particular one that we just submitted is going to be used for our promotional task to stage 1. So if you did well, you're going to be promoted to stage 1. I believe we all did well. So, and if you did woefully or not so nice, I'll reach out to you and try and tell you to go and make corrections. So let's prepare ourselves that if you did not see yourself in stage 1 by Monday, then you have to reach out to me, or you have an email, or check your code again and see what you're not doing right. Thank you very much. Tuesday we meet again, same time, same venue. Akim Bobola, if you have anything to share with us, feel free to do that now. But then if you don't have, just tell us thank you. Let's know that you don't have anything. So what do you have to say to us? Are you cool? Are you good with us, or we should just move forward? Yeah, I can hear you.
Well, I can always say that.
Okay, thank you very much.
I will keep repeating. I learned everything in class. You have to keep going back over it and over again. and that will give you muscle memory to whatever you're doing. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Akimawola. Everyone, thank you very much. We are already out of time. Have a wonderful day. Good day.